Slow motion video solves many problems. Shaky camera jitters turn into smooth movements. A normal everyday activity becomes romantic or even epic. In this video, we're going to learn how to achieve different speeds of slow motion in 3 minutes or less. Tada! Let's go! There are two parts in order for this to work: the settings and the edit. First things first, you've got to choose how slow you want your footage to be and how many frames per second do you need. We'll be using the A6400, but of course these tips are applicable to many other cameras that provide you 24, 30, 60, or even 120 frames per second. For this example, I'm going to shoot at 60 frames per second, knowing that I'll be editing this video and slowing it down on what they call a 24 frames per second timeline. This will make a little sense later. Now that we know how many frames per second we are going to shoot, we will then apply the 180-degree rule, which is to set our shutter speed to twice the frames per second. Because we are shooting at 60 frames per second, we'll set our shutter speed to 1/125 since there is no 1/120. Now adjust your exposure accordingly with ISO and aperture controls if you're shooting manually. Okay, now go film something real quick. Okay, now the second half, the edit. Open up your video editing software. I'm going to use Final Cut Pro. Make sure to choose a 24 frames per second timeline, or in this case a 23.98 second timeline. Now because we shot our footage in 60 frames per second, we can actually slow down our footage to 40% speed. Here's how that looks. As promised, here's what it looks like when comparing the 4 different kinds of settings. I hope you found, or at least have a better idea of which speed you like the best. For me, I often film at 60 frames per second if I want to have that option to slow it down later in the edit. And if there's a particular moment that I know I want even slower, I'll film at 120 frames per second. Here's a reference for you to screenshot and use when you're deciding to film slow motion. If you want to see how I set up my camera, especially the custom settings for the Sony A6400, click over here. Or check out these other camera related videos over here. Thanks again for watching. Now go out there and shoot for the life that matters. See ya!